1. The hidden dungeon. A family moved into their new home, excited to start a fresh chapter. But while inspecting the basement, they found a concealed door behind an old wooden shelf. What lay beyond was horrifying. A soundproof dungeon equipped with chains, a single bed, and scratch marks on the walls. Authorities later confirmed that the previous owner had been under investigation for kidnappings, but he had vanished before being arrested. The chilling part? No one knows who the victims were or what happened to them. 2. The sealed-off room. A couple renovating their old house discovered a walled-up section in the basement. When they broke through, they found an abandoned, dust-covered room filled with antique furniture, newspapers from the 1940s, and a single chair facing the wall. But the most disturbing part? A child's handprint frozen in dust on the window pane, despite the room being untouched for decades. 3. The mystery safe and its dark contents. During home renovations, a man stumbled upon a hidden safe embedded in the basement floor. Inside, he found a collection of old cassette tapes, large sums of cash, and a sealed envelope labeled, "Do Not Watch." Curiosity got the best of him. He played one of the tapes. What he saw made him immediately call the police. The contents were never made public, but authorities sealed off the basement as a crime scene. 4. The whispering doll. In an abandoned house, an urban explorer came across a dusty old doll sitting in a chair. But when he turned away, he heard whispers, as if the doll was speaking. Thinking it was just his imagination, he ignored it. But as he was leaving, he played back his camera footage and heard a soft voice say, "Don't go." He left the doll there, but later learned the house had been abandoned after a family tragedy, and the doll had belonged to a child who mysteriously disappeared. 5. The room that shouldn't exist. A man was exploring his newly bought house when he discovered an unmarked trapdoor in the basement floor. Beneath it was a fully furnished but abandoned room, filled with half-eaten food, a mattress, and an old, flickering lamp. There were no doors or windows, meaning someone had been living there, unnoticed. Strangely, the food was still fresh, even though the house had been vacant for years. 6. The blood-soaked freezer. In an old rental home, a tenant complained about a foul stench coming from the basement. The landlord ignored it, assuming it was mold. But when the smell became unbearable, he finally investigated, and found an old locked freezer. Inside were several bags of human remains, perfectly preserved. The home had been previously owned by a missing person, and authorities later identified the remains as victims of an unknown serial killer. 7. The wall of eyes. During an estate sale, buyers entered an old Victorian house's basement only to find something disturbing: hundreds of preserved glass eyeballs embedded in the walls. Some were human, others animal, and no one knew why they were placed there. The previous owner had been a reclusive surgeon, but his medical license had been revoked years prior. The house was quickly abandoned after the discovery, and no explanation was ever found. 8. The basement that wasn't on the house plans. A couple moved into an old countryside home, but something felt off. The basement seemed larger than the house itself, yet the blueprints never mentioned it. As they explored deeper, they found hidden passageways, old surgical tools, and rooms filled with dust-covered beds with restraints. Some of the rooms looked recently used, despite the home being unoccupied for decades. The police sealed off the house, but its history remains a mystery. Final thoughts. Basements are meant for storage, safety, or extra living space, but some hold disturbing secrets that should never be uncovered. These terrifying discoveries remind us that some houses have histories better left forgotten. Do you know of any creepy basement stories? Share them in the comments below.